We start live at 11 with breaking news right now in Kearns. Unified firefighters have confirmed that at least one person is dead after a fire this morning. It happened at a home on 43rd West and 53rd South. Firefighters say this fire started in the basement. No firefighters were hurt. The cause of this fire is under investigation. We've got a crew on the way, and we'll keep you updated as we learn more. Now to our other top story regarding the fate of COVID-19 relief from Washington, D.C. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Danny Ruberti.
And I'm Ben Winslow. If Americans are expecting a direct check from the government next week, they may be in for a major disappointment as Congress reacts to President Trump's request to amend the COVID-19 relief bill and spending package for next year.
Fox's Ray Bogan has a closer look at what happened on Capitol Hill today.
Merry Christmas.
It was not a holly jolly morning on Capitol Hill. Instead, one marked by deadlock. Democrats asked for unanimous consent to give most Americans $2,000 checks.
Consistent with the request of the President of the United States,
Republicans requested approval to review how U.S. tax dollars are spent overseas.
Ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
They both failed.
So we do not have unanimous consent.
There isn't much time to try anything else, so Democrats are urging the president to sign the recently passed coronavirus relief package, even if it's not everything he wants. Government funding runs out Monday. Expanded unemployment benefits expire Saturday.
surely the President of the United States, whether he's in Mar-a-Lago or any place else, ought to empathize with the pain and suffering and apprehension and deep angst that the American people are feeling this Christmas Eve and sign this bill.
Some lawmakers admit the bill gives Americans reasons to be frustrated.
They were looking at the millions and millions and millions of dollars that we spend all over the world for God knows what. And then they looked at what they were getting, $600, and they didn't understand because they're the ones breaking their back.
Democrats will try to approve the relief checks again on Monday when the House tries to override the president's veto of the National Defense Authorization Act. In Washington, Ray Bogan, Fox News.
New at 11, the Utah Department of Health has updated the state's COVID-19 case counts. Here's the latest. Almost 2,900 new cases of the virus were reported this morning. 9 more Utahns have died of the virus, putting the statewide death toll at just over 1,200. The victims were from Davis, Salt Lake, Utah, and Weber counties. The rolling 7-day average of positive COVID tests this past week is 24%. Just over 88% of ICU beds in Utah are filled. Almost 15,000 people in Utah have received the first round of COVID-19 vaccine doses so far. It will be a few more weeks before frontline workers get that second and final round of the COVID-19 vaccine.
The long holiday weekend will impact statewide COVID-19 testing. Nearly all testing sites will close early today. There will be no testing tomorrow on Christmas Day for Intermountain Healthcare, University of Utah Health, and TestUtah.com sites. All sites will resume normal hours on Saturday.
Doctors at Intermountain Healthcare say we're moving in the right direction when it comes to COVID-19 cases, but we're still not where we want to be ahead of the holidays.
Ideally, we would have seen is to have our numbers be really low before the holiday and New Year, which would then decrease any kind of risk of transmission amongst families that are gathering. But we still have really high transmission rates, even though the numbers are down.
Doctors are hoping you celebrate the holidays with just the people under your roof. If you absolutely must have a party, experts say keep it small and limit household families to separate tables. Hold it outside, even in the cold, or ensure sufficient ventilation inside. As always, guests should wear masks and remain 6 feet from people they don't live with.
More hospitals across Utah are now getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Intermountain Healthcare received and administered more doses at Heber Valley and Park City hospitals yesterday. They sent us this new video you see on your screen. The largest hospital system in Utah has now vaccinated about 6,000 people. Meanwhile, Mountain Stars Brigham City Community Hospital administered their first vaccines yesterday at noon. And take a look at this. The Moderna vaccine has made its way to Gunnison Valley Hospital in central Utah. Fox 13's own Amy Nay's father was one of the first in line to get the shot. He is a physician who has worked at that hospital for more than 35 years. Other staff members were also vaccinated.
And new therapies are being used in Utah to keep COVID-19 patients out of the hospital. In the past month, nearly 150 Utahns have been infused with monoclonal antibodies. It's the same therapy that was given to President Trump on an emergency basis before the FDA approved it in November. It mimics antibodies, and studies suggest it can help keep an infection in check.
Small numbers, but about 60% decrease in the risk of hospitalization. So that's exciting.
Even with 2 vaccines, doctors say it's still best to not get COVID-19 in the first place.
And new this morning, calls for Utah State University to take action against racism are growing louder. Our news sharing partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report leaders in Utah's Pacific Islander and football communities are condemning alleged bias in the Aggies football program. Now, it relates to the university president considering hiring Frank Maile, who is Polynesian and a Latter-day Saint, as the next coach. USU ultimately hired former Arkansas State coach Blake Anderson. Now, the university told the Tribune it supports an investigation and is committed to promoting diversity.
Springville police are piecing together what led up to a woman's death. Police say someone called to report shots fired at a home on 9th South and 1000 East yesterday. They discovered 43-year-old Victoria Ramirez's body and a man barricaded in the basement. They arrested 23-year-old Michael Lopez after a short standoff. A 14-year-old girl was also arrested and was hurt during efforts to take her into custody. Lopez and the girl are being treated for injuries. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, call the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition hotline at 1-800-897-LINK. That's 1-800-897-5465. You see it up there on the screen. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7.
A federal judge has rejected a fine against a company linked to the fundamentalist LDS Church. It's over child labor violations involving this incident in 2012 when hundreds of children were put to work on a southern Utah pecan farm under orders from church leaders. For years now, the U.S. Department of Labor has been trying to collect wages and fines from the church, but the judge says the federal government wanted too much. So he's told them to revise their request and come back to him. The feds have already leveled nearly $2 million in fines against the company involved.
Lori Vallow Daybell and her husband Chad Daybell are trying to get their joint case dismissed and disqualify the prosecuting attorney. There was a closed hearing last week where an effort to change the venue was stopped. They each face charges in connection with the disappearance of Lori's children, Joshua J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Their bodies were found buried in Chad's Idaho backyard earlier this year. Lori and Chad are expected in court on January 6th.
Well, this Christmas holiday is expected to be the busiest time of the year for Salt Lake City International Airport. More than 18,000 passengers came through the airport yesterday. A little over 10,000 are expected to travel today. Now, this only counts departing passengers, not arriving passengers or those coming through on a connecting flight. Even with the COVID-19 pandemic causing foot traffic to be smaller than years past, you are still urged to arrive early if you're traveling.
A lot of people that haven't flown out of this airport yet. It's much bigger. We didn't build a smaller airport, so we're asking everyone to make sure that they take those 2 hours that the airlines recommend to get to the airport in advance, because it will take longer to get to the gate because it's a longer distance.
To keep the head count inside the airport lower, ticketed passengers are the only people allowed inside the terminal. And in the Christmas spirit, holiday performers will be at the airport through the early afternoon hours to keep things festive and a little less stressful for travelers.
Dave with less than a minute left. Azubuike sneaks behind the defense and throws it down.
Oh, yeah. The Jazz opened the 2021 season on the road against Portland last night. Mike Conley told us earlier that threes were going to be the key. Utah had 13 threes in the first half. That's a franchise record. And to the top of the first half, Donovan Mitchell had back-to-back threes. The Jazz led by 21 points at the half. The Jazz beat the Blazers 120-100. Home opener is set for Saturday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-off is 7 p.m. There will be limited in-person attendance.
Mitchell brings it down.
All righty, all eyes on weather. It's Christmas, Dina. we're not going to get a white Christmas.
Yeah, sorry, just not going to happen. But we do have cold air, so it feels like Christmas time, right? All right, let's take a live look outside right now. I'll show you what's going on here. Deer Valley, beautiful. If you want to see the snow, you're just going to have to go up high and go play in it because it's beautiful up there, and we've got snow at our ski resorts. It's a great place to be. Lots of sunshine for today. Salt Lake City right now, a little bit of haze, and it's 28 degrees, so it's starting to warm up, but still we'll call it mostly sunny. Feels like it's 19. It just feels pretty cold. Temperatures this morning have been on the cold side. It's 30 now in St. George, 23 in Price. It's 19 in Elko. Earlier this morning, it was below 0 in central Utah, so a cold morning. But the sun is warming things up, and we'll have plenty of sunshine throughout the afternoon, but the urban haze will be developing. Temperatures today will shoot up into the 30s, so it'll be a dry Christmas Eve, and it'll be a dry Christmas Day as well. So as the sun goes down tonight for Christmas Eve at about 5 o'clock, temperature will be about 25 degrees tonight and then get down to Christmas morning, a low of 17. So coming up, we'll take a closer look at your forecast, including some snow in the next 7 days.
Thank you, Dina. The Salt Lake City Police Department will be on the lookout for the unsafe drivers over the next couple of days. They're warning for drunk drivers coming up.
And President Trump continues to pardon those people who are close to him. The latest round of those getting out of jail time. Still ahead. Stick with us.
Welcome back. Utah's Department of Agriculture and Food is offering money to help combat noxious weeds. It's a big problem that can make wildfires worse, ruin crops, and even interfere with transit corridors. So the state is offering grants to farmers and local governments to help get rid of invasive species.
This money will allow them to either buy herbicide or to replant, hire people to come in and help them. Basically, it's just restoring the land. If let's say that it's on public land and the fire goes through, this money could be used to help, reseed an area, stabilize the ground so that we don't have erosion effects. It helps bring back the native plant community.
Now, to find out more information about the grants, we'll get a link up at fox13now.com. Salt Lake City police have released a plan that they hope will reduce crime in the city.
Police say 38 more uniformed officers will be added to the patrol division to combat crime at the community level. It's welcome news to people in the Ballpark neighborhood, which has been especially hit hard by crime this year.
I'm really excited about seeing a plan. It does seem like it might be, at least in part, in reaction to the events that have happened lately in our community.
SLCPD also restructured how calls for services are responded to internally in hopes of quicker response times.
Well, if you want to get booze before Christmas Day, today is the day you need to do it. Liquor stores are open today, but you should get there early. In fact, they opened about 15 minutes ago. They will close at 6 o'clock tonight and will be closed on Christmas Day.
And a reminder this morning for holiday travelers, Utah law enforcement has heightened DUI enforcement right now through New Year's Day. Officers from 21 agencies across the state are working extra shifts to stop impaired drivers. Jail time, thousands in fines, and a suspended license are some of those potential consequences. Not to mention, it's just dangerous. So make sure to get a safe ride if you're going to be out celebrating in the next week.
And happening now, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, better known as NORAD, has activated its annual Santa Tracker.
Let's take a live look at where Santa Claus is over the world. I believe he was last seen in Somalia, and now take a look at where he's heading for. Victoria. Ben, can you?
Seychelles.
Seychelles. I like how that rolled off your tongue. Normally, hundreds of volunteers are also manning the phones at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. But there are fewer people this year just to make sure everyone's staying safe. This is the 65th year of NORAD's tracking Jolly Old Saint Nick. And we've been watching him all morning long. Now 2 billion gifts. He's a fast man.
Yeah, nearly 2.5 billion. I mean, what is the gift rate per second? It's insane.
I know, he's got, I mean, Santa must work out in order to get all those gifts.
People are stuffing the cookies with protein powder. That's really the secret.
That's the secret.
All right, let's take a live look outside right now. Here's our Ochre Mountain camera. It's been a beautiful morning. It's starting to get a little bit hazy around Salt Lake, but we've had lots of sunshine to start our day, and that's been good because it's starting to warm us up a little bit. It's 28 degrees right now in Salt Lake. It's 29 in Ogden and 25 in Provo. As we go through the rest of the day, temperatures will be in the 30s today, but then the sunset tonight is around 5 o'clock, and then the temperature will drop rapidly. So it'll be 25 tonight, mostly clear for the evening hours, and temperatures drop into the teens by Christmas morning. That's tomorrow, so it is going to be cold. Our air quality still showing up with some of our greens and yellows here. We're going to have moderate air quality. It will probably mostly be in that yellow category by later today and especially tomorrow, and we're still seeing decreasing air quality readings now on the east side of Utah Lake as well. So looking down though at the valley below, up above the inversion layer, it looks really fantastic. So this is up at Snowbird up on Hidden Peak. So you can see the Salt Lake Valley here below. And later today, if people come down from skiing, we'll start to see that build in as we get more haze developing. It's 28 right now in Salt Lake, 19 in Park City. It's 12 in Logan. You were in the single digits earlier, so it's warming up there. Not too bad. 28 in Bryce, 23 Green River, and 30 in St. George. So a cold morning, but with all that sunshine today, it is going to warm up nicely. So our satellite radar picture shows high pressure around. We still have some high clouds encroaching into southern Utah, but no active weather on your way. All of that courtesy of a storm system off to the south and west. So high pressure around today. When you have high pressure, you just don't have a lot of active weather. But what we do have is very cold ground temperatures. And with that, the air can't really mix. So we're going to have that urban haze and inversion type conditions develop especially across the Wasatch Front. A cold front coming in on Saturday will help to mix out the air. So it's not going to be a long-lived inversion event at all. Today for Christmas Eve, then, sunshine with haze in the afternoon. A little warmer today, 35 in Salt Lake, 36 for Park City. So even up high, it'll get a little warmer than yesterday. 49 in St. George today. And tonight for Christmas Eve, it's going to be a cold one for Santa and anybody else out there. 17 in Salt Lake tonight, 20 in Provo, and 24 in St. George. So southern Utah, Christmas Day looking good here. 52 and mostly sunny, not bad at all. You do have a chance finally for some rain in southern Utah. That's on Monday. And in northern Utah, the haze continues for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Temperatures will be in the upper 30s. There's that chance for a little bit of snow on Saturday, mixing things up. A better shot at snow is on Monday and Tuesday. More confidence becoming with this system here. So we're definitely not going to see a long-lived bad air event, but we don't have any snow for your Christmas Day forecast.
Well, coming up, learning from home can be a struggle for children, but especially for those who don't have the equipment they need. How children around the nation are now getting desks.
Millions of kids across the country are still struggling with the realities of virtual learning. And while some students don't have access to the internet, others don't even have a desk to learn on. As we continue to show you how our nation is working to deal with and rebound from the pandemic, Chris Conti shows us how a group of volunteers who saw a need found a way to help young students.
Like countless other Americans stuck at home during COVID, Stephen Clark found himself searching for purpose. He has found it in the basement of his century-old home. This is not the 43-year-old's full-time job.
These are the legs.
But it is where he finds himself between Zoom calls and on weekends. Stephen knew he had the tools to do something. A few phone calls to local charities over the summer revealed the answer. He needed to start building desks.
Just seemed like an alignment of stars to say, hey, why don't we build desks? Because it seems like there's a real need for that.
Virtual learning and the pandemic have revealed that nearly 9.4 million kids don't have access to the internet. Nationwide, 4.4 million kids don't have access to a computer. But there is no telling just how many kids don't have a desk of their own at home.
Well, I think we can all think back to when we were kids and we had something that was ours.
We're getting more of a demand for desks.
As the executive director of Furnishing Hope, Massachusetts, Susie Pallets has plenty of furniture ready to be deployed to families in need. The one item they need the most right now, though, are desks.
Your bed is to sleep on, your desk is to work at. There are certain places and things that you do in those places. And I think it's also a way to keep organized.
This group helps families who have just transitioned out of homeless shelters. Most kids don't have a bed to sleep on, let alone a desk to do schoolwork on.
It's a place that's steady and that they can focus in.
To make the holes for the screws, I mark the holes and I drill so people know where to put them.
The idea has taken off.
Can we stand the sides too?
So far, with the help of 14 other families, Stephen and his helpers have delivered 5 desks to kids in need, with another 25 on the way, and funding to make 10 more.
We're sort of in a moment in history where social responsibility really matters.
There's nothing fancy about these desks. Stephen cuts the pieces himself, and other families then serve as the assembly line. His hope is that others across the country see how easy it is to help and start their own movement.
Take that step. Think about yourself, what your passions are, and how you can use those to help those around you.
A lesson in giving, courtesy of a 2-by-4-foot piece of plywood. I'm Chris Conti.
Coming up, the federal government's eviction moratorium is not only helping people stay in their homes, it's also keeping people safe from the virus. We'll explain. And it's the time of the year for people to ask for holiday donations for those like troops or veterans. But how do you know what's legit? We'll help so you don't waste your money.
We're continuing to follow breaking news that we told you about at the top of the hour. Unified fire crews say one person is dead after a house fire this morning. It happened at a home at about 43rd West and 53rd South.
Fox 13's Diego Romo is live on scene in Kearns as investigators try to determine a cause. Good morning, Diego. What can you tell us?
Good morning. Yeah, Unified firefighters responded to a house fire call north of 5400 South in Kearns just after 9 a.m. this morning. When crews first arrived, they noticed smoke pouring out from the home, and firefighters went inside and discovered the flames were coming from the basement. Crews were able to quickly put out that fire.
Unfortunately, we did have a single civilian fatality associated with this fire. I'm not sure the exact location of that fatality. Sounds like there was also a pet that perished in the fire.
One other person living in the home was able to make it out safely. It is not known at this time whether that person suffered any injuries as a result of the fire. The identity of the deceased individual has not been released. And the cause of this fire is still under investigation. As you can see behind me here, crews are still working to figure out exactly how this all started. Live in Kearns, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, new research says the federal government's eviction moratorium has done more than just help keep people in their homes. It has reduced the spread of COVID-19 significantly.
Dan Grossman talked to the study's principal researcher who fears what might happen if the federal government does not extend the ban on evictions.
I'm looking at Appendix 3, I believe it is, in the paper.
The document Catherine Leifheit has compiled is dense.
Long document, lots of appendixes.
No, you guys did a lot of research. I can understand that. There are states, percentages, graphs, and numbers. Lots of numbers that all tell the same story about COVID.
We start to see cases and deaths increase at significant levels about 7 to 10 weeks after the eviction moratoriums lift.
It must be noted this study is awaiting peer review, but it suggests that 10,000 COVID deaths and more than 430,000 COVID cases can be attributed to evictions that took place in 27 states across the country before the federal government enacted its eviction moratorium in September.
We had this hypothesis that evictions might lead people to move into households, with their friends, family, what's called doubling up, or in worst case scenarios, they might move into homeless shelters.
The study says the biggest number of cases happened in southern states where local eviction moratoriums were lifted sooner. That includes Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and South Carolina, which all saw at least 20,000 additional COVID cases and 600 deaths thought to be tied to evictions. The biggest jump, though, came in Texas, where there were 148,000 additional COVID cases and more than 4,400 deaths.
In general, the folks that get evicted tend to be lower income people of color. And as we know, those are the people that are really bearing the brunt of the COVID epidemic.
If the recent $900 billion stimulus does not extend it, the CDC's eviction moratorium will expire on January 1st. With the way the numbers and weather are trending now, LifeFight fears a confluence of events that could lead to a massive growth in cases.
Transmission rates are soaring right now. To take away housing, which may be a pretty fundamental protection that people have against COVID right now, could be catastrophic.
I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
More national news right now. For the second night in a row, President Trump issued a round of pardons and commutations. The 29 people include his former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, his longtime friend, Roger Stone, and his son-in-law's father, Charles Kushner. The holidays can be the toughest time of the year for firefighters. In fact, fire departments nationwide responded to more than 1,600 cooking fires on Thanksgiving Day alone. That's 3.5 times an average day. Nationwide, the number of firefighters testing positive for COVID-19 is growing, and so far 114 have died. Fire chiefs across the country say they're also concerned about potential budget cuts and layoffs.
Well, in today's Money Watch, trading on the New York Stock Exchange is done early because of Christmas Eve. There will be no trading tomorrow in observance of the Christmas holiday. But here's a look at the closing numbers on Wall Street. All of them saw modest gains. The Dow finished up 70 to close at 30,199. The NASDAQ composite gained 33 to end the day at 12,804, and the S&P 500 nudged 13 to close at 3,703. Well, what would you do if someone knocked on your door asking for holiday donations for troops or veterans?
I would probably provide it, Ben, knowing that it was going to help someone. But some people who did say yes are now wondering if they were conned. John Matarese looks into the appeal so you don't waste your money.
With COVID-19 separating so many families this holiday season, many of us would be willing to help a veteran in need. But one appeal for help is raising a lot of red flags. Sharon Parker got a ring at the door the other day. This young woman, captured on the family's Nest camera, was canvassing the neighborhood for veterans.
She was doing a fundraiser, preparing care packages for veterans or first responders.
She asked Sharon to contribute $40, preferably cash.
She was asking for cash. Well, she just said $40, but she had that wad of bills in her hand.
Neighbors say the young woman seemed very pleasant, and what she was doing seemed like a noble cause, until they asked her to see some identification. And that's where things got fuzzy.
Kind of waving it at me, and when I reached out to take a look at it, she pulled it back.
Last year, I had a similar conversation with Jamie Borders, who was also solicited for veterans care packages.
Collecting donations to send care packages to veterans and to active military.
She gave them $79, but afterward learned they were not with a real charity. Last year, the Virginia Attorney General shut down a business called Hearts to Heroes that claimed to be a charity helping veterans, but was not, the AG said. The Better Business Bureau says if you're approached at your door, ask to see ID. Google the group's name, better yet, look them up at bbb.org, and ask if you can mail them a check. Legitimate charities will say yes.
Maybe it wasn't legit.
Still not sure? Ask them to leave some information, then ask your family what they think, so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, a return to the moon has been decades in the making. Now a team of astronauts has their eye on a lunar landing. How they hope their mission can benefit those of us back here on Earth.
And while The Masked Singer is over, a whole new kind of fun show is premiering on Fox soon. We'll give you a preview of The Masked Dancer. Stay right there.
Welcome back. 2020 was a big year in space exploration. The U.S. sent astronauts back to space on an American rocket for the first time since the Space Shuttle program ended 9 years ago. And the International Space Station celebrated 20 years of humans living continuously in space. As Maya Rodriguez tells us, 2021 will bring a new focus on the moon.
It's easily one of the most visible of the celestial bodies, the moon. And next year, the journey to get humans back there begins once again.
Ultimately, it fulfills our need to explore.
Kjell Lindgren is a doctor and an astronaut, and one of the 18 recently chosen for NASA's new Artemis program to get humans, including the first woman, to the lunar surface by 2024, something that hasn't happened since the Apollo 17 mission back in 1972.
I think all of us in the astronaut office are in one way or another influenced by those iconic images of our Apollo astronauts exploring the moon.
Returning to the moon is seen as a necessary stepping stone to getting humans to Mars in the 2030s. The Artemis team will be working on lunar-related projects, both in orbit and on the surface of the moon, that can eventually be applied to a future Martian mission.
The moon offers a wealth of scientific discovery still, and also offers a wealth of operational discovery, helping us to refine the procedures, the equipment, and the skills that are needed to be able to land, to explore successfully on a rocky surface, and then to come back to the Earth.
The missions also have the potential to create technological advancements for everyone on Earth.
The whole world benefits from those things, and the benefits from Apollo are innumerable, you know, from the computers, the miniaturization of computers and on. You can count all those. That was really a turning point in history for technology.
NASA's Artemis program hopes to eventually create a permanent human presence on the moon's surface, similar to the current full-time human presence on the International Space Station. And Lindgren could be among them.
It's such a privilege to be a part of this.
In Washington, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Oh, that just looks so cool. All right, well, it's starting off to be a dry Christmas, but a little bit hazy by the afternoon. Here's a look at today's almanac. The average high is around 37, which is about where we're going to be today. We'll tell you when our next chance for snow is and what Christmas Day looks like after the break.
Checking on your health headlines right now. Lyft wants to make sure millions of people get their coronavirus vaccine. Lyft says it'll provide 60 million rides to and from vaccination sites for low-income, uninsured, and at-risk communities. The plan also includes rides to their second and final dose. Lyft teamed with several organizations like the United Way. Uber announced a similar plan to offer 10 million free rides for people to get their coronavirus vaccine. A new study shows how wearing a mask in the pandemic could have a long-term effect on how the brain recognizes people. Researchers in Israel and Canada found face masks lowered a person's ability to recognize someone correctly by 15%. Researchers say face masks force the brain to focus on smaller areas of the face, such as eyes or cheeks, rather than using the entire face for identification. They say this process is less accurate and could impact how we interact with other people.
Well, the hit show The Masked Singer is getting a spin-off, and it's premiering this Sunday night.
That's exactly right. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has a preview of The Masked Dancer.
The Masked Dancer, hosted by Craig Robinson, brings the next step in masked competitions.
Dancer came about, I started seeing what Masked Singer was. That looked impossible. Now you're taking the voice away. It adds some, is intriguement a word?
Starring on the panel are Ken Jeong, Paula Abdul, Ashley Tisdale, and Brian Austin Green, a.k.a. the Masked Singer Giraffe.
Even when we're talking about the performance and all of that, part of me that remembers being on the other side, I tell people, like, really enjoy it because it's a total one-time thing. Like, it may be something that you never get to experience again.
Craig is amazed with their celebrity guesses.
Like, it could be Jamie Fry because she did Broadway 6 years ago and she just had a baby and they know all these facts about everybody.
Green says it's just practice and sticking to what you know.
Flu packages, talking about TikTok and all of those things. Like, I don't know any of that. I'm going to follow Paula when she's talking about dancing because I have no idea what she's talking about. I watch the Clue package. I stay in my lane of what I know really well. And if something is outside of it, then I'm just either following somebody else or I'm just guessing, because it's not like I'm going to win anything if I do guess it correctly, other than the accolades.
Whoa, sound a little bitter there.
It's no.
The Masked Dancer airs December 27th, then moves to Wednesdays, January 6th, here on Fox. Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
All across our state, Utahns are reaching out to their neighbors during the season of giving. In West Valley City, a teenager suffering from cystic fibrosis organized a toy drive from his own hospital bed. Wednesday, dozens of gifts were handed out to children. In Sanpete County, a 9-year-old boy helped round up donations to buy Christmas dinners for 200 families. In a year when help is needed more than ever, small acts of kindness are having a profound impact.
There is hope, and as long as we keep spreading it, it'll go from person to person.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, as long as you're looking for ways to help.
Utah is such a special place. Alejandro and the Larsons say they plan to continue efforts to give back to the community throughout the year.
A Clinton homeowner is bringing smiles with a unique, nostalgic Christmas display. We first introduced you to Kelly Hertel just before Halloween. The longtime Marine hadn't drawn in nearly 2 decades until the pandemic hit, leading to him painting Disney art all around his house. Now he has turned that into drawing characters from Christmas movies across the decades. Hertel says he hopes to bring families together.
That I get to see that same smile, that glow, that light in their eyes and stuff that I would see through my kids if my kids were here and stuff. So that is what I do that for, is just to keep the spirits going through this year.
Now, if you want to bring your family to check it out, we've got the information on our website. Check it out at fox13now.com.
So I wanted to start singing today. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, but it's not looking like it. Well, it's feeling like it.
It depends what your point of view is.
I guess I'm pointing to the white Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, like if you live in the South, like it doesn't snow there. I mean, what does their Christmas look like? Yeah, like Joshua trees and stuff. All right, let's take a look outside right now with the Oquirrh Mountain camera. We've got a few high cirrus clouds around and some building haze as we go through the afternoon here. But otherwise, things are going to be pretty good throughout the day. And, you know, we'll have some building haze throughout the afternoon today, and that'll be just kind of what's going on. Right now, here's our current temperatures. We have a temperature of 28 degrees in Salt Lake and 29 here in Ogden. It's 25 in Provo currently. Salt Lake 35 going up to our high temperature today. Sunny with some haze developing. And as we go through Christmas and the next couple of days here, Christmas Eve does feature a temperature going down to around 25 degrees later on tonight. Christmas morning, though, we'll have a cold morning, temperature of 17, and by Christmas Day in the afternoon, we'll still only have a high up in the 30s there. So our air quality, though, is going to deteriorate today. So we're still looking at some greens, but now we're starting to see a little bit more yellow on the map on some of those air quality sensors. So deteriorating air quality and haze will be building throughout the afternoon. You know where it's not hazy and it's downright beautiful? This is the top of Alta. This is right off the Collins lift. Well, look at that. Whew, good stuff. You can see a little bit of that haze starting to develop now down here in the valley. But temperature is up high today. It'll be getting up to the 30s, much better than yesterday, where they were only in the single digits. 28 in Salt Lake, 24 in Park City right now, on your way up to about 30 degrees there. 16 in Vernal, still holding on to the cold in the basin here. 28 in Moab and 32 in Blanding. Satellite imagery shows we've got a few high clouds around, but really we're dominated by high pressure. There's one system off to the south and west giving us some high cloud cover over the southwestern portion of the state. But high pressure is here today, and high pressure can do a couple of things. It gives us lots of sunshine, but everything it does, it squishes down in the atmosphere, so we can't really mix things up. So that's why we'll have the building haze throughout the day. But a cold front coming in on Saturday. It'll give us some light snow in extreme northern Utah, but it will also mix the air, which is a nice thing. So for Christmas Eve here, we've got sunshine in the forecast today and hazy conditions. Temperature will be in the 30s today, 35 in Salt Lake, 36 in Park City, and 49 in St. George, a little warmer down south. And then for tonight, Christmas Eve. No matter what you're doing tonight, if you're going out and about or you're just staying in, it's just going to be cold. 17 tonight's low in Salt Lake City, 20 in Provo, 8 in Park City, and 24 in St. George. Christmas Day, southern Utah, top notch. Whew, not bad. 52 degrees tomorrow afternoon there. Chance of rain on Monday, but pretty quiet weather for you on Christmas. Northern Utah, we've got the haze today and tomorrow with temperatures in the 30s. Chance for that snow comes in on Saturday, but a better looking storm moving into the picture here on Monday. So not a white Christmas, Danny, but we certainly have a cold Christmas with some sunshine in the afternoon.
I will take it.
Well, this morning in Fox 13 Connect, some new toys are reminding us how rough of a year 2020's been.
But first, a lot of people enjoy taking selfies, but not everyone enjoys sharing them. A report published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology showed 77% of those surveyed admitted posting selfies, but more than 60% say there were consequences to doing it. The study authors say taking and posting a selfie is an act of self-promotion, which can lead people to think someone just wants attention. Researchers asked participants how often they posted selfies, how they felt receiving a friend's selfie, and how they felt about seeing other pictures instead. The study also showed 82% of participants preferred to see other pictures over selfies.
Yeah.
Ben's face right now.
That just, I don't know if I buy that.
How
but
do you
okay.
feel about the selfies?
You know, selfies are okay. 2020 has been fueling one custom toy maker's niche business in Illinois. The man behind Death by Toys has been making by hand toys like a limited edition Karen figure with manager sold separately.
Stop it.
After a fly landed on Vice President Mike Pence's head during the vice presidential debate at the University of Utah, Death by Toys made 50 Mike Pence fly toys, and they sold out almost immediately. Best-selling items include toys like the coronavirus and a garbage fire. The man behind Death by Toys says he knows his brand of art is edgy and not for everyone, but he thinks these custom figures may be just the brand of humor we all need right now.
We need a little humor, Ben. Little laughs.
I like the Karen manager sold separately.
That is really good. The newest additions to the Australian Reptile Park are wishing you a very Merry Christmas from down under. Oh, look at these little guys. Baby animals from the Somserby Australia Zoo bask in all of the joys of the holiday season as zookeepers get the creatures ready for their first Christmas. Pipsqueak the koala and Tasmanian devils Alula and Wolf are all among the different animals learning that nothing says Christmas like decorations and food. The curious creatures each enjoy a special treat prepared by zoo workers. The Australian Reptile Park is closed on Christmas Day, but staff and animals will still be celebrating without the crowds.
Well, next at noon, Fox 13 investigates how OSHA has been handling the COVID-19 pandemic. You'll want to see what we've uncovered. That and much more coming up.